Welcome to Align and Turned On with Nedjma. This is a space for women who are done settling for fine or performing their growth and ready to truly lead from their truth and their soul's purpose. This is where we have real, unfiltered conversations about what it actually takes to own your truth, your power, and your full self expression in all areas of your life. So through these conversations and through the lens of my work with the 5 Pointed Star Path, we go beyond the surface level growth and into the kind of self-discovery that changes how you show up in everything. So let's dive in. Today, we're exploring the second step of the 5 Pointed Star Path, which is reclaim and be in your power with a powerful friend of mine and colleague and peer, an amazing human being, Hannah Elsie.
Hello, hello. Nedjma, I'm
How
so
are
happy to be
you?
here with you.
Me too. And let me tell you a bit about Hannah because she's pretty amazing. Hannah is the founder of the Iconicity Movement, and she's the host of the Iconic Life podcast. She's a transformational mentor who helps visionary women stop overriding themselves and reclaim their power. So on topic. So they can create and lead lives they're wildly in love with. Don't we all want that? Across all areas of life. With over 20 years of supporting women, her work is rooted in identity, calling, and aligned action.
Mm.
Mic drop. Welcome, welcome, Hannah. And
Thank you.
of course, and let's dive right in. I'm curious, what does reclaiming and being in your power mean for you right now in your life?
Mm, I love this. And when you know, we were talking about having this conversation and whatnot, and yes, no one's like alive for me right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is literally what's alive for me right now.
Yes.
And obviously it's something that I have walked through for the decades, but reclaiming that power, for me, it's more about remembering because I don't actually think that I or you or women in general have lost their power. I know that that's what's often said, but I don't think it's that we've lost it. I think that we more have gotten really good about forgetting it and overriding it in ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we talk a lot about like that intuition, like that little voice that we sometimes we like push away or don't, and hide, and then you're like, oh gosh, I should have, right? Like after the fact, you're like, oh my gosh, I was right there, right? And that's part of our power. Like that's one of our superpowers.
Yes. It's like I had the intuition, but I was like, nah. And then it
Hmm.
happens, and you're like, shoot,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened with my hard drive. I was like, I should back
Oh
it
no,
up.
I
And then
remember.
I dropped it. And I love what you're saying, and I'm gonna let you continue. I just want to add, like for me, and at least in my world, I see this as like we're adding on layers. So it's like your
Mhm.
power is always there, is so aligned with what you're saying. It's just the
Yes.
conditioning and the shoulds and the wound and all that stuff
Yeah.
starts to kind of go out,
Right.
right?
What society has taught us, what our families of origin have taught us, much love to them, what our maybe faith
Mm-hmm.
communities have taught us, all the things. And because it's not our own voice. I mean, I know in myself again, I use myself as a case study, right? And then all the
Yeah.
women I walked with as well. But like I know that when I was a little girl, I had no question of my worth and my value. I knew I could do anything.
Yeah.
And I had massive dreams, right? And yet I was told that was too much, or be quiet, or all these, like, be smaller, be smaller. We know this, right? We were
Yeah.
trained in all of these things. And again, so much love to family of origin, nothing against that, right? But it's not just them. They were also raised in the society as well. So it's not even just like one thing. But I do
Absolutely.
think it's all of these little things were put onto us, and we get really good at overriding our power.
Yeah.
So for me, it is about reclaiming that by remembering it and
Mm-hmm.
stepping into that and choosing that identity, right? I do one of my core pillars of my work is identity, right?
Yes.
And that is something we get to choose and remember, I think, because a lot of it is about, oh yeah, I did used to have that feeling of limitlessness. And yeah, it's part of my tagline is like having that limitless iconic life, which
Yeah.
an iconic life is different for each one of us, right? Like your iconic life is different than my iconic life.
For sure.
But it's about remembering that and choosing that calling, choosing that identity and walking in that. Um,
And it's also a path, right? It's like it's not
yeah,
something you do, oh, I didn't reclaim and now reclaiming it, right? And then done.
100%. Yeah. I think that's actually one of the big things that we kind of uncover and work on is like, it's not like, it's most often, it's not these big dramatic trauma moments, right? Because yes, those are there, but it's in the little tiny, I call it micro-abandonment moments,
Mm,
right? We
yeah.
abandon ourselves, we abandon our power, our our intuition in these little things, right? So it's not often that we're giving away our power in these big, big things. It's these little, small, almost invisible decisions throughout our day,
Yes.
right? And when we start to take that back, when we start to recognize it, remember, and choose something different, it's not this big, overwhelming concept of, oh, I need to get my power back, right? No, it's just like, it's
It's like, shoot, did you check under the couch? Where did you leave
right.
it?
Like it can be as simple as it. I have this experience that we're actually going through right now. We're finishing it up, but
Yeah.
like a little thing I shared, like I chose to order the chai latte in a grande with extra whipped cream on it because that's what I desired. It's like silly little things, right? Or like choosing to go to bed 20 minutes earlier because I know that that's going to help me
Yeah.
in the morning. Or the other side of it is getting up 20 minutes early in the morning to have that little bit of quiet space. I'm a mom of seven and I still work
Bless you.
as a nurse midwife and I have a business. So I'm super, super busy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to find those little moments for myself, so I'm not abandoning myself. Another small, simple thing that I do that again that I share with a lot of my women is like I do a mirror practice in the morning where
Ooh.
before anybody else's voices come into me, the phone, anybody, I get up and I crawl my way to the bathroom. I use the bathroom. I come back to the mirror and I wash my hands and
Yeah.
I take maybe just 30 seconds, but I look at myself fully
Yeah.
and I choose me and I choose to love this reflection in front of me, right? With
This
all
is
its
so huge what
imperfections.
you're saying because I was going to say with everything you said before, that requires a lot of self-awareness, right? So
Mhm.
that's the problem. I think a lot of us, and even though I consider myself massively self-aware, I still fall in the trap of just going through an emotion and not checking in with myself, right? You raise
Right.
your
Yeah.
hands.
Me too.
Absolutely. Both hands up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love this practice because it's like back to me, back to me. Some
Yeah.
people will do like touching my body. Sometimes I do that, just like let's pause,
Like
put
just
my hands
hands
on my
on.
body, take a breath,
Yeah.
how I feel. The
Yeah.
vapor practice is amazing too, right? Bringing the visual
Hmm.
into that because it's so easy to forget. And like yesterday, I started a belly dancing class. Okay, so I'm half
Oh, fun.
Algerian, so I've always danced, but like never really learned the techniques and so forth. And I wanted
Yeah.
to get out of my bubble a bit more because you have your work, you deliver babies, you're amazing. But as an entrepreneur for myself, I'm a lot inside in front of my computer, in front of my screen. So I wanted to get out, and we just moved back to this new city in Montreal. So I went there and I find myself looking to shrink. I found myself looking to
Mm.
fit in because this is a new environment. And I'm used to
Hmm.
talking to business women who have dreams and talk deep stuff. But suddenly it's like with the normal people, like, people who are, I mean, just not
Yeah.
necessarily on this path, no offense. I'm just like, how do I connect? How do I
Yeah.
interact? And in just that little self-awareness, I realized that I gave my power away yesterday.
Mm. So I find that interesting you said because I understand that too, right? When you
Yeah.
step into the normal world, it's so funny because we surround ourselves with people like us in these beautiful spaces, these masterminds and community. Like I'm so
Yeah.
big about community because that is where you calibrate to that new level, right?
Right.
Um, but because we do that, you and I, because I know that you do that as well. Um, it sometimes it does feel like, woo, it's going back to this like other world where like people who are, the normal world. It's so interesting. But when you said that, like I was thinking, you allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to not shrink.
Yeah.
When you do that, it gives other women around you the permission to also not shrink. It gives them
Yeah.
courage to step up and like, oh, well, she can enjoy what she's doing. I can also laugh and enjoy what I'm
Yes.
doing, right? It's infectious, right?
100%.
It's
A
so
hundred
great.
percent.
Like I love seeing that because like it's sometimes that's all we need is like someone to give us permission to, oh, I can do that too. And then we pass it along. It's infectious and it's so powerful. This is why I love doing things in community and like bringing women together because like we do incredible.
Well, things
badass
will come
stuff.
up in community, right? Because everybody's
Yes.
the mirror for each other. So if you are on the path and you are
Hmm.
self-aware and you're not just like pointing fingers and then retreating, which I did that
Right.
for most of my life and sometimes fall into that, but you really kind of use that as a gateway for like, oh, what's a layer? What's something that's coming up right now? And that's why I think there's the space of like reclaiming the power and then being in your power. I think those are two
Hmm.
different levels because I actually told myself last night when I came back home from the class, next week when I go, I need to be aligned and turned on because that's my brand. I'm like, I wasn't embodying it. I was like, hey, everybody, I'm, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Like the permission, like,
Yeah.
how can I be show myself free and aligned and in my
Hmm.
full self?
Yeah.
And that's the
Embodying your
being
work
part.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But you did. You just said it. You gave yourself, you recognize it
Yeah, yeah,
and you just gave yourself permission for next week.
exactly.
Like,
I
it's
can't
going to be
wait. I'm
amazing.
like,
I was
I'm
going to
gonna
say,
show
right?
up.
I'm like, they have no idea what's coming. And if I was close by, I would come
I'm
because,
gonna
like,
come in the
wow, right?
room.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And it's so powerful. And I'd be so curious to hear back from you how that goes
I'll let you
and
know.
how that spreads and the infectious aspect of it, because it is
Yeah,
truly that, right? And you'll see some amazing things come out of it. It's
yeah,
gonna be amazing. Yeah.
absolutely.
And I love this because it's these little decisions, right? Because it's not, again, it's not always big things where we like, I don't know, quit a job and take back, because that does happen, right? Like you can make
Yes,
big life choices that take back your power, right? For something that, or choose to leave a relationship or whatever. There's so many different things that are big
the
stuff.
big movements.
Yes,
Yes.
right. And those are sometimes needed, right? But the actual subtle, like superpower there is in the daily little things, those compounding things, the daily mirror practices, the
Yeah.
touching our body, like all these things, like bringing us back to self and remembering that and deciding that
Yeah.
every day
And I wonder if
throughout
you
the
could tell
day.
us a bit more because I think like those are powerful practices, but then how does one recognize them? Like because it can be
Mhm.
sneaky, number
Mhm.
one, and how does that
Mhm.
work like on a regular Tuesday, right?
On,
These sneaky
on a regular
moments.
Tuesday. That's right. Amen. On a regular Tuesday. That's right. Well, it is kind of those little things. Like there is an element of introducing something new and continuing to do it. And so like
Mm,
for me, I get myself into a community where I can kind of start myself doing it. So is that joining a challenge or joining a belly dancing thing, something that's going to set me out of my normal, right? Because I think we get into
yes.
autopilot and there is a
Good.
necessary step of like, we need to change something here. And
Mm,
it can be something bigger like joining a class, or it can be maybe something smaller like joining like an online challenge or something like that, something to get yourself in proximity and community.
so you
Because
can see, right? It's like so they can
yes,
highlight something to work on.
yes,
Yes.
and
So
it that, like you said, it's a mirror, right?
yeah.
Like being in community holds up mirrors for us, sometimes a little bit uncomfortably, but like
Mhm.
what, we're not here to be in our comfort zone, right? If we want to
Yeah.
grow, we've got to stretch. We've got to step out of that, like, oh, this is my little comfy spot. No, no, no. If I want to grow, I got to be on that edge of like, oh, this feels just a little bit,
Yeah, and the
right?
comfy spot sometimes it's not actually all that comfortable.
Oh,
Like
right,
we're
right.
staying in patterns that feel like safer than what we perceive it is to get out of this
Mm,
comfort zone. But if you're actually honest with yourself, these
yes.
comfy, like hold slippers are not that comfy or warm.
Right, exactly. And that's so interesting you said that pattern thing, because I think that's actually something I feel is like, it's not so much always a power thing, it's a pattern interrupt that we need to do. Right? Because it's that autopilot. It's that being in this like, this is how we do it, no matter if it's actually good for us or not. But our nervous system, our body, like we like homeostasis. We
Yeah.
like to be in the known. Like our mind wants to like keep us safe, right? And even if safe is not great, we want to stay there because we know it. Whereas that edge, that stretch, that is like, oh, that's a little bit scary. So learning how to be okay with that. So yeah, getting in community. And then on a regular Tuesday, there is a pattern interrupt. So I do encourage and well, for myself, for the most part, I don't always do it perfectly. Of course, none of us do, but that's not the point. The
Yeah.
point is, for the most part, am I doing these things? And all those little choices compound, right? You talk about the slight edge effect, right? The compounding effect. We're doing all these little choices like in the morning, I stop and I gaze at myself and I thank myself. I'm so grateful to this body that has carried me so powerfully for 47 years now, right? Who has
Yes.
given life to six humans. I love all of her, right? So like I
Mm,
give myself that gratitude and love, and that sets your day in a whole new way when you start your day like that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you can choose different things. You can do something like that, or like you've heard of like the daily pages, right?
Just
Forget the
kind of
name.
like writing it down, like what's stream of
Yeah, like
consciousness, like
yes, stream of
whatever's
consciousness.
there.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. First thing in the morning, getting it out. That
Yeah.
is actually pretty powerful because the author Julie something,
The artist's
the artist
way.
way. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which talks about like draining the swamp is like, getting all of that stuff
Mhm.
out so that
Yes.
then your true creativity and your
So
true
it's not
self and your
circling in your
identity can
head
come
all
back.
day,
Right.
right?
We're not holding it. Right.
Yeah.
It's out. That's super powerful. And then I
Mm.
also like celebrating those new choices. Like, I celebrate to calibrate, right? Like you got to,
Mm.
you make the decision, you take the new action, and then you have to celebrate that and be, again, witnessed in that. I'm a big believer in community. You got to do this either in some kind of mentorship or community, I believe,
So
because that
tell me
helps
about
you
that. Sorry
calibrate
to
it.
stop you, but I'm really curious
Oh,
about
yeah.
this. Like, why do you feel like being witnessed is so powerful and kind of
Mm.
crucial? Yeah.
It's a signaling, I think, in a couple different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It signals to us that we are doing something different, that this is your new normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It encourages us when other people witness us and celebrate. It's like, oh, you can do that, right? Like I'm a midwife, right, in my
Yeah.
day job, and having another woman, a midwife, there when I can have a woman who's going through something like she's transforming into a mother, right?
Yeah.
Um, our birth is such a portal of transformation. And it's such a beautiful analogy of like life. But like no matter if it's her first or her seventh, there is this moment when you're in labor, you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Right. Or I'm afraid or whatever. And if you have that person, that voice, and they've actually done study on this, that another woman in the room is impactful. Men can do it too. Like there are
Yeah.
great partners out there, but there's something about a woman saying to another woman, "You've got this. You can do this." And I know for myself and my children, when I gave birth, there is at every one of my births, there was a woman there who I I heard her voice. When I got to that point of like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. This is too much.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can do it. And that gave me that little like, oh, I can do it. And then guess what? You do it and you transform. And that is the power of community, right?
And there's so
You get
much
to
of that
bring your heartness
sisterhood
there.
would, right? So I feel I'm
Yeah.
going to speak for myself
Mhm.
because I actually developed perfecting my hermit cave, right? And being on my own and staying away from people
Uh-huh.
because of like it's too much and
Yes.
it's reflecting too much and I learned to manage other people's emotions to
Yeah.
keep myself safe. So it just felt so. And I think a lot of women out there, I don't know what your experience is because you've been in a lot more communities than I have. The sisterhood wound is real, and not everybody in your sisterhood will be a high consciousness person, will be taking self responsibility. So there's these kind of wounds projections coming up. So, how do we
Yes.
reconcile that? Because I agree with you, like having a sisterhood, having a community, like it's anchored in our
Yeah.
bones. But the truth is, there's also a
Yes.
lot
It's
of
part of, yes, our fiber of our
ancestral
being.
trauma around it too.
True story. And
Yeah.
I 100% understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I, definitely went through a lot of that. I think we all have at some form, whether or not you were the popular girl or the girl who was, hiding in the closet.
Bullied. Yeah.
Um, we all have some because all of us have that like, am I good enough? There is a question for
For sure.
every woman in particular, right? There's something there that we have to answer that. Right? So for me, again, this is years and years of work, right?
Yeah.
But there is a choice there we get to make.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want, with all of them, I'm going to say this, right? Do we want to stay in that space of, oh my gosh, they're mean to me. They don't see me. There's another one, right? I'm not seen.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows who I am or what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
No one sees me. That's a hard one because we all need to be seen and witnessed. I know personally that was a big one for me. I was the shy girl. I was the quiet girl. I was the one
You
who
don't
was
want to
off
take
to
up
the side.
space, right? Because it's like, what
Right.
if they don't like it? What if I
Mm.
bother? Yeah,
And sometimes people have told you like, oh, you're too much, right?
exactly.
Right? I
Totally.
mean, I've been told that, right? exactly. And that hurts. Heart is like, oh, so that's where like the identity piece of my work is such a big thing for me because I had to come to that foundational understanding slash accepting of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know who I am. I know my value. I know my worth. I am freaking amazing. Whether or not you guys see it or not, I know who I am, but it
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
matter. They don't need to see that. I know.
Yeah.
I know who I am. That's part of like this whole like me being able like loving on myself so deeply in the morning and like that mirror practice because I definitely had body issues growing up. I was raised in
Same.
that culture and right and all the things. I'm like, oh, I'm not, I had a lot of kids. I had all the things, right?
Yeah.
So it was always like, I am never good enough. And I literally had to make that decision to like,
Mhm.
I am done with that. And it
Boom.
is a personal choice because you're right. You can't, not everybody you're going to be with in community is going to be on that path where you want them to be at so they can just reflect lovingly to you and not attack you, right? That's the whole thing. So
Yes.
it's the personal work because can I be in community? Is it worth it to me to be in community knowing that
Yeah.
I may get some wounds triggered or hurt again? I may have to like dive into that more. And my answer is yes. Because the other side of that is being in this hermit, which I definitely had that hermit, those hermit years. You said perfected your hermit cave. I was
Hermit
like, oh
cave. Yeah,
gosh.
exactly.
Yeah.
Nice and
I
comfy.
didn't
That no
call it
one
that.
comes in.
But
But
you're
I
right,
love that because
exactly.
it's really reconciling these two seemingly polarities that don't intersect. But I think
Mm,
this is the work because it's like choosing to belong as opposed to wanting to be reflected back that you belong.
yes.
So that requires the
That's
inner
it.
work. But the problem with that is that people, like in my hermit cave, I decided to do the inner work, but in isolation. So it's like,
Mm, mm,
how can I do this inner work and find this inner freedom to being the full me
yeah.
while choosing to belong and being okay with things being reflected back at me? Because
Mhm.
actually, this helps me grow myself more.
Eh, Boom. And there is the thing. That is the duality of it.
Yeah.
Because in order to grow, you have to get into the space
Yeah.
of discomfort.
Yeah.
And I don't know another way to do it other than like it was worth it to me to put myself in that space of discomfort in order to grow. And on this side of it, I can look back at that beautiful self of mine who was so afraid and so in her hermit cave. And I
Yeah.
can love her and be like, it was worth it. And here we go. And I brought her
It
up,
was an
right?
important piece of the journey because it allowed you to
Yeah.
be coming out of that cave more powerfully, most likely.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. But it was a choice.
Yeah.
It is a decision that every woman has to make. And so, basics, like find a community that maybe doesn't resonate with you for the most part. Don't put yourself in one that you're like, I hate everything about this, right? Like
Right.
find a community, people who you can like, hey, I kind of like you. I kind of like some of these people. I don't have to love everybody, but
Like
I
crochet
kind
or
of,
something.
yeah,
It could be the thing you
right,
like too, right?
right. Find something that resonates with you, right? And then know that you'll kind of, it's
And
a
I think
journey.
getting
It's
a
a journey.
mentor, a coach, a guide, a
Yes.
teacher, because
Yes.
expecting the sisterhood to be able to hold you as well and support you, I think it's unrealistic because they're projecting their wounds. And if everybody is now in this game of like who's right and defending
Mm.
and you don't understand me, it's going nowhere.
It
And I
can get
think
crazy.
that's where you recoil. It's like, never mind, I
Yeah.
don't want to belong to this. But if you have
Right.
someone outside that actually can see from a higher place because they have done the work and they can support you internally, I
Yeah.
think that's where the combination is very powerful too. So you
Yeah.
can thrive in that community and utilize these triggers and layers shown to you.
Right. And how can I grow in there? And it's so
Yes.
powerful. It's so beautiful and so powerful. But
Yeah.
yeah, having that mentor, that coach, that someone who sees you,
Yeah.
it's super important. And like I mentioned earlier, like I'm in multiple different communities, right?
Yeah.
Some big, some small, intentionally,
Mm.
because I I realize like in especially in bigger communities, it's harder to be seen, and that
Yeah.
triggers that little bit of that wound right there, right? So, but I still know the value of getting into spaces and like learning from people and being around people who are doing the things that I want to do and more, and like letting that pull me and calibrate me to that level. But I
Yeah.
also need sisterhood, like true sisterhood. Like you see me, you know me. right? So that's your chosen, I want to say your inner circle, perhaps, right? Or that
Being seen
smaller
and being
mentorship group.
known, right? I think that's also that
Yeah.
you want to be seen, but it's like, who knows me
Mm.
too?
And I think that is the highest level of love between humans
Yeah.
is to be seen, known fully, and loved and accepted,
Yeah.
right?
As you
And
are.
that heals something within us that is so deep and so profound.
Mhm.
We need to be seen and known and loved because if you're loved but they don't really know you, it
Yeah.
feels fake, and
Yeah.
our spirit knows
Or
it,
if you're seen,
right?
yeah, it's like, oh, they see me, here I am, highlighted flash, but like they don't really
But
know
they
my
can't
core.
stand.
And
Yes,
sometimes there's
right.
no space for
Yes,
that. Like it's
yes,
always like, just come here to perform. This is a business place, right? And like, we're
yeah.
not really here to know you. And that can be okay if you balance it out and you have a support and all of that.
Right.
Um,
Or finding your smaller circle even within those big things. Because
Exactly. So I
again,
love
like,
that you're mix and
yeah,
matching these because you're
yes,
meeting your needs. And I think that could be a problem that we're looking sometimes for that one person or that one group or that one partner to meet all of our needs.
oof, yeah, right.
Right.
Like you just said, right. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so much. It's me. I have to work on me. I cannot control anybody else out there, but I
Yes.
can work on me.
Yes.
And when I do that, I get a more loving, more developed, more like then I can meet the next person around me with so much
Yeah.
more love. And I might find a different level of them, which by the way, I have seen that play out in my life so many times,
For sure.
right? Other people who I was like, oh, I can't stand you. But when I was able to work on myself and came back, I was like, oh wait, I can accept you and learn. And by the way, I actually found ways to find common ground and developed relationships with these people who at the
Yeah.
beginning I couldn't stand. Wow, right? Because it wasn't about
That's
them.
huge. Like that's when you know, like externally, like you've really grown
Mm,
yourself. So that's such a great something to celebrate, 100%.
yeah. And it's a powerful
Amazing.
place to be because this is where we get to create lives that we are wildly in love with. We are no longer
Yes.
reacting to things. We are creating this life, right? I'm
And
not
that's
being
the proof
reactive.
that it's not the person.
Yes.
It is your wounds and what you're triggered by and like what's been
Yes.
reactivated. So that's so powerful.
And when you understand that, there's so much more space for grace and love for the person
Mhm.
around you.
Yeah.
When the person who cuts me off in traffic and I want to like road rage, I'm like,
Right.
whoa, I don't know what's going on in their life.
Maybe they're
When
stressed out of their mind and just trying to
right,
get to work because they have that presentation.
right. Or maybe what their kid's in the hospital, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't know. Like
Yeah.
my niece has been in the hospital this week, and I think about that. Like like my her dad was coming from work, like he had just gotten back from like an overseas trip and all these things, and you're like, if he cut someone off in traffic, would I be able to give him grace, right? Or I think about
Yeah.
myself with my story of being widowed, and I will tell you, Nedjma, like I cried in the car for
Hmm.
years, probably actually,
Yeah.
because I had 5 kids and I had no
Yeah.
time to stop, but I would drive them to school, and then I shed buckets of oceans of tears in the car,
Yeah.
and I don't know what I did or did not do in
Yeah.
traffic to other people
Was I
around
a good
me.
driver on that team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it gave me so much more empathy, maybe,
Yeah.
or love for other people when I
Yeah.
realized, hey, everybody is going through something. I have
And even
no,
if it's like an egotistic kind of like, it's my
even
road,
that.
it comes from
Right.
something too, right? It's like
It
I need to
does.
find power somewhere because I feel
It
so
does.
so little or disempowered within
Yes.
myself.
Because even
Yeah,
when they're being a jerk,
exactly.
what else is behind there? That's interesting
Exactly.
because, again, being in medicine where I work with, and I work with a lot of, characters, right?
Hmm.
So I learned that quite a bit because I remember one years back, a colleague, a physician colleague who was just terrible. Like, could not stand to work with. I didn't want to call her for anything. I didn't like it was just a bad interaction every single
Yeah.
time, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we had started at as a new hospital, so like we were new relationships coming together, right? Could not stand her. She was arrogant. She was condescending. She was snippy. She was everything bad. I was like, wow, she is such a biscuit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was the year. And then the next year, things shifted and she began to be so much more friendly. And began to get to know her.
Mhm.
And that whole year previous, she'd been going through a very tumultuous, unfriendly divorce.
Mm.
So her entire like life was shattering,
Yeah.
right? And it was a long process. And she didn't bring any of that.
She was surviving. Yeah.
Right. She didn't bring that to work, but she brought it to work. But we didn't know, right? I was like,
Right.
wow, we just don't know. Like people are
Just don't.
going through things. Can we give the grace and the love that we would want extended to us if we were going through
Yes.
something
And give to ourselves as well.
and
Yeah.
give to ourselves as well? Yeah,
Well, Hannah, we could talk for hours. Like this
I
is
know.
so fun. Thank you so much for coming. And
Absolutely.
if you who's listening, if something stirred within you, like don't leave it there.
Mhm.
Talking about community, I would love to invite you to join my private community on Facebook, Aligned and Turned On. And I would love to know, Hannah, what do you have for us? Where can people connect with you if they feel
Yeah,
sparked by this?
absolutely. Well, I'm on the Instagrams under Hannah Elsie, Iconicity Movement. So
Okay.
iconicity is just a funky little word I made up of iconic, right? So like we are creating an iconic life, iconicity, right? The verb of doing that. So under Hannah Elsie on Instagram. My podcast, the Iconic Life podcast, I'm on all the different platforms for that. And yeah, so come and wave at me in the DMs, talk to me. I love to connect and chat. We are doing, like I mentioned, is doing that experience of like this activation, our iconic activation. We're finishing that up now. And then I'm starting another one in middle of May, which is called Reclaimed. And it was so synchronous. Like when you said that about like reclaiming our power, I was like, oh my gosh, because that's literally what we're doing it. But it's based on looking at the archetype of the Proverbs 31 woman from ancient history, right? And it is so fascinating with the research I've been doing on her. And I don't know, if you're familiar at all with her, but like
What's
I
her?
was the Proverbs 31 woman. Like you hear that like in it's it's a chapter out of the Bible, but like it's
Oh.
it's been used as like a a tag, right? Like people use it for a lot of different things, like how to be the perfect woman, right? And I
Mm,
grew up being taught this, trained this, and she's completely different than what I was taught and trained my entire life. When I've done research on
mm.
her, she was powerful. She was a warrior. Like the ancient Hebrew words that were used for her was actually a warrior language, and it is so fascinating.
That sounds
And so
juicy.
this, it is. Oh my gosh, it is
Yeah.
so juicy, and I'm so like lit up about this. But so I'm creating this experience that's starting May 18th,
Okay.
actually, and that is where the women who come in, we're going to stop performing our edited versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And to remember, we're going to choose, we're going to fully inhabit creating those limitless, iconic versions of our lives. And I'm so excited for it. Like, whew, yeah, it just makes me
That
like,
is so freaking huge. I can feel your passion too. So if you're interested, definitely check out
yeah,
Hannah. I will put the links of whatever you want to share in the show notes.
and it's perfect.
So thank you so much for
Yes.
coming here. This has been such a powerful conversation. And I also want to thank our listeners here because I don't take your attention lightly. Thank you for listening up until this point. Um, our hope, our stand is that you get so much value out of this. And we sending you so much love. Bye, everyone.